All right, what's up, hustlers? I tried to film this before, so we're gonna try to do it again. It's been days since I made that part one, but I'm pretty sure. Now, when I do things, I never do it the same twice, but this is going to be what will break down the internet marketing flywheel when it comes to a creator, when it comes to education, and when it comes to business. And then I'm going to import scenarios to kind of show you what it could look like. And I think I'm going to start with my main scenario. So I'm going to draw my 3 boxes here. There's going to be a 4th one up here, but I'm not going to get to that yet. So we got business. We got education. And then we got creator. All right. So when you are a creator and you make educational content, that is a product. That's why you've seen a lot of courses and a lot of things like that going on. When you are a business and you focus on education, that is marketing. Now, is marketing putting ads out there showing the product? Yes. But one thing that I've been able to show is that if you educate people on your product and you do a good job at it, it's going to lead to money. It's not going to be the ad revenue and all of that kind of stuff, but I believe that comes secondary, because if you bring in a lot of attention and you don't have your product education, you don't have your funnel built out in a way that can educate the customer, you're going to lose a lot of leads. A lot of our businesses rely on that first interaction being an actual transaction, and we don't educate the customer along the process. And it may take 30, it may take 7, it may take 3 months, it may take 90 days to get this person converted over to becoming a customer. So a lot of our products only start with the product in mind, but we don't have anything to educate them along the process. And here, this right here is where I built my consultant conversation, but this is an affiliate, right? That's an affiliate. So what happens in this process is a business comes to a creator and they need marketing because this person has an email list. They have some, let's just say they got 100,000 followers. The follower count doesn't mean as much as it used to. They want some attention on this product. And I found the big company, I found that they had like 200, I think they had like 23 Instagram followers at the time. Right. And so they DM me and I end up going, and that story is all history, but I become an affiliate of that. Right. Later on down the line, and this is what I suggest any content creators do, they should become a consultant to that company, and anybody can do it. And if you rock with me, I can show you how you can go from 10% commission to a lot more commission, or you can go to a monthly stipend. The monthly stipends of creators is not as much as it used to be if you're not, way out there. So could you get $500 a month, $1,000 a month? Yes, for sure. Could you get $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month from a company? You can, but you got to make this transition to a consultant. All right. Now, they already have a product. A business is a product. Content creation and education is a creator's product, right? At the end of the day, right? So these both are products. Here is marketing product for them. Here is our product for ourselves. Now, I said, let me give you this example. One of the things I like to say is, if this is the content creator, this is what I used to use when I talk to companies to get them to turn into turn them into clients. Right? This is the customer. What we do as creators is we educate from the outside in. Right? Now, if we educate from the outside in, the customers are going to go look at the business and they're going to be like, well, Stan said it, let's do it. Right? On the flip side of that, they can come to this place, and if there's nothing going on here that's echoing the same things that I'm talking about here, then it could just be a dead end. They get that first time look at the business That's it. Now, what happens is if you do a good job, the business should be educating on it from the inside out. The same terminology, the same talking points, the same everything should be exuded from the company as well. And then this makes this sale here a lot easier. A lot of people are going to go off my word, right? A lot of people are going to go off the content creator's word. But at the end of the day, the company has to display it. That means that they have to show up to answer questions. They have to show up for support. A lot of the times as creators, we get a lot of those questions. We turn them into content. We also need to be making sure that business turns it into content on the other side. All right. So that is something to live by. Now, the piece where I am now and where I suggest everybody should be is you want to make sure that you're filling up this business bucket with not only your own businesses, but other businesses, right? So you want to put some vertical integration. And up top here, I'm going to draw another circle here. Draw another circle up here. This is going to show you what they were used to doing. This is a distributor. I don't know if I spelled that right, but whatever. So what happens is in the past, businesses or manufacturers of products would make a product and then they would go to distributors or companies that could potentially sell their product, or they'll be approached by distributors that could sell their product. And then it was up to that company to do marketing here. Shoot. They would do the marketing. They would use them for marketing. Their percentage is 25%. I'm gonna just put 30 because usually it's like 30% unless it's something like huge. They get a 30% commission on that, right? Leave this off. Here, we get a 10% commission. So when I say this is why we want to make sure we put these businesses around ourselves, that is why. All right, now let's insert a company in here. The company product right now, and I'm gonna give you all a few. I throw a few in here, but I want to explain how it works. Company's product is called Supercolor. That was the product that I marketed from $300,000 a month. They had a $10,000 a day goal. They didn't always hit it. And we took all the way to $2.3 million in marketing. So the way this works is I find them, I become an affiliate, meaning I give them some of this brand power here. And I don't know what they're at today, but clearly over 20,000 on IG. And I don't know if they got 10K. Better yet, I got my other phone right here. Let's take an active look at where they are, what their numbers are. When I found them, there was nobody there, right? And so on Instagram right now, currently, they should probably be at like 50, if not close to 100. Let's see. My service is not doing good. Service is not even loading. I'm gonna cut the Wi-Fi off. Oh, Dallas got it on airplane mode, but it still was Wi-Fi. Okay, yeah, they're back. So on Instagram right now, they're at 86K, 0.3K. On YouTube is a different beast or animal. Gosh, man. They're 8.5K. You can tell where we put our focus at by the product and everything like that. All right. So what happens? By me talking about the product, mind you, 7 people, no marketing department, a product. When I found them, they said, I asked the question. It was funny because he's like, I said, well, how much capacity do you guys have? He said, we're at 90% capacity. And I looked at him and I said, well, what you got me here for? I mean, we is nothing we can do. You got 10% left to grow. He said, no, we're operating at 10%. We got 90% left to go. All right, cool, no problem. He's like, what do you want to see? I said, I want to see everything. He's like, you've seen his face, his facial expression change. And he's like, I don't know if I can do that, but you have to sign the NDA. I'm like, cool, no NDA. I mean, NDA, no problem. So we rock with it, right? So we drive this attention. At one point, just as a creator in my prime, the attention was bananas. And so what happens is we ended up, I don't know, I want to say it was between 700 and 1,200 accounts per day requested to be open. And what happened when these accounts are requested to be open, it all had to be opened manually. All right. So keeping that in mind, it had to be done manually. So we had to manually, the office assistant, the owners, it got so crazy that they had to hire temps at that time. Now, some of this is good timing, but I'm going to show you that it's duplicatable because I work with other companies. All right. Now, as a content creator, the downside to being a content creator is the longer you are attached to a company, the less valuable you become over time because you truly can't add new customers. So if you're there for a year, 2 years, your value is going to start to stagnate. What you should want to do then is move into the consultant realm and start making educational content on their behalf, on their YouTube channel, on their social, because now you become invaluable because you essentially get to reset the clock on your followers by driving their followers now because you're doing it on their behalf. Doesn't mean you're putting it out on your channel. It means that you're working inside of their company as a, I call it a resident creator, but you become so ingrained. A lot of companies, owners and people high up there, they do not want to be in content. So you can use that to your benefit to get a job or to work independently as a contractor to get yourself a monthly retainer in the process. Now, the second thing, and what I did in my industry for a bunch of ungrateful people is I opened up. Now, they're not for everybody, but I opened up and spread money amongst all the content creators because I realized that, well, if I could just grow this company even more, then I'll look better, they'll look better. And so that's how I made my move into consultant, by running the affiliate program really for like 3 or 4 companies at one time. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, actually 5 companies at one time. At one point I looked up and I was a face of like 5 companies. All right. So what I did was I added creators. I'm just put a little person here, all different levels of creator, right? I might have someone 250K. I might have somebody at 30K. I might have someone at 100K, 80K, 5,000, right? But in this process, and if you have a company and you're looking to work with creators, you want to get the big ones and you want to pay the fee, but you want to find little ones as well. But you want to look for certain characteristics and qualities in people that can display the product in a certain manner. Today, a lot of companies are running ads, UGC is more popular now, UGC ads with creators. So you want to find people from all walks and demographics, people who could use the product or introduce the product to their audience without any attachment to anything else. So this is the plan. And by connecting these people myself to the companies, I was able to move into a consulting company and eventually be paid $8 grand a month. And that's like 96K consultant fee. My minimum is 36, right? But the fee is worth it when you're able to drive those type of results. So you create educational content on behalf of this company, and now you maneuver into this realm. If you put these businesses around yourself, you can increase this from 10% to 25% by becoming a distributor of the product. That makes sense? Cool. Now, insert Circle Clothing. Circle Clothing was doing $300,000 a year. We come in, I make content. They end up at $1.2 million a year for 2 years in a row. The 2 years that I work with them, we stay highly consistent. Now, you run into inventory problems and you run into stagnant points during this process. As you try to grow any business, you're going to hit some ceilings in the process of building those businesses. And the ceiling just means you got to push through. Right now, one of my clients, we're at a ceiling. We're at a ceiling because now it's all up to producing the product so I can get on to here because we fixed all of this stuff up so that it can work on their behalf. But now we need to put the product in people's hands, and then we need to be able to actually deliver along that product. If you are a content creator, you want to start to sprinkle more businesses around what it is that you're doing. So you got one product here. Is there products? You got one product under education, which you can use a value ladder to start. You can have a freebie. You can have ebooks. You can have workshops. You can have mentorship. Right? What we want to do is we like to put, and I never put merch around t-shirt side hustle only because I was showing people how to make shirts. I did make some stuff and people did buy and want to wear some stuff, but it wasn't really that important. So you can put merch around yourself, and then you could also put the education around yourself as well as your revenue stream. But the best thing you can do for yourself is anything you touch, you can sell. So what does that mean? Well, these distributors are no different than you, except for you probably do a better job at marketing as a content creator, right? Because that's what this is. They're a marketing arm for this manufacturer, a marketing arm for this manufacturer. What we did for this marketing arm before the DTF actually took over, what we did is we went to the big three companies, HTW, Pro World, and then we went to Heat Press Nation, right? What we did was we tried to lock everybody out from the big three distributors that were pretty much independent in the space by locking them into our product, meaning there was going to be no competitors that could get into this market here theoretically, right? The only problem that we would have is if they decided to start making the products themselves, which some of them did because DTF printers became a part of the game per se. So now, if you're creating content right now and you don't have a big following, you got to put the business around yourself. Whatever you got to do to figure that out, whether you buy a printer or partner with somebody with a printer, you want to make sure everything you're talking about is driving to your website. You are in the middle of this here. That's where you live. So you want to have a business, you want to have education, and you want to be the content creator, and you want to live in all of these circles, you yourself. That's when you're running at the sweet spot. If you run here and here, okay, cool. You're going to have something going, but you want to run here, here, here. Here you get ad revenue. Ad revenue is the least that you can make. So how do you move yourself from being a creator to distributor? First off, you got to create a website. Then you got to source products. Everything that you touch, you can sell, right? The easiest way to do it is to do drop shipping. Now, this is drop shipping on steroids. You can set this up in any industry. You just have to go out and make the connections because all of these companies, all they want to do is sell more product. And you can go from 10% to 25 or 30% simply by building a website. What comes with that is that you're going to have support. You're going to have to deal with the customer. You have to deal with chargebacks, all of that kind of stuff. But we can bet on ourselves as creators that, yes, we're going to have to deal with support, but we can build up a support database over time. And what I was able to do for myself was you can go on YouTube right now, search Stan Banks in any t-shirt question, and it's like 98% chance that I have a video on that question. So you can build that database bank up. I'm saying that because a lot of the times when I got blackballed, a lot of the companies are, well, how are we going to handle support? How are you going to do this, right? Just imagine being able to drive what will be over $50 million in sales, right? when I get back at it, I'm going to be able to get some damage done, everything in this space. But as I move out of this space, I got to set it up a lot differently. So you want to have your own website, your own products on there, right? You do not have to go and manufacturer buy. You just got to find the manufacturer buyer, or even find a distributor willing to work with you on some cases to be able to fulfill products, so you can just focus on the marketing and content and all of that kind of stuff. So this is the internet marketing flywheel. This is an example of how it works. Education for me is the key, man. If you can educate people on a product, how to use a product, more importantly, how to make money with the product. That's the most important thing, at least for my demographic. There's other markets where education is just providing a great experience, right? Having fun, getting people over to not knowing how to do something to knowing how to do something. I shared on the video the other day that I just did a cold DM to a whole new industry because they have a product that is cheap in comparison. It's a starter level product, but the competitor for it might cost you 10 to 20 grand. And they have something under 1,000, under 1,500, depending on the package, under 2,000, depending on the package that you get from them. And I believe that I can input this with what they have going on, and we can attack new demographics and make a lot of money, because I now understand this. And this is surface level. It gets so much deeper than this. But if you can understand this, you should be able to use this as a creator, as a company, or as an educator to figure out how to make some money and where you want to be. Figure out how you can have an educational product, figure out how you can put business around yourself, and only partner in spaces that you don't want to be in, right? I'll take a 10% commission if I don't ever care to be, I don't ever care to bring in automatic and do support for automatic screen print presses or some item that I don't care about. I'm willing to take a less. But I'd much rather hold out. I built the website 4 years ago. Sometimes it takes time to get there. I'd much rather wait on some things or partner in the meantime on some things that I may want to keep for myself in the future, so that I can make sure that I'm approaching this 25%, right? In life, you get what you negotiate. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to be able to get the success that I got. I knew I would make damage. I never knew how to transition it to money or talk money with it. I just knew I could get the attention. I knew I could market. I knew I could get the product in front of people, all different types of products. Before, when I was younger, I did all the design and marketing for a publishing company with over 56 authors. And so I knew how to market. What I got to see over time was what it looked like and the inside out as we grew. And the difference is you need to know what to do, what's next. So hope this makes sense. Hopefully this one recorded, because I don't want to do this one again. But if you guys have any questions, put them down below. Let's make some money, man. It's been your boy Stan Banks. Remember, everybody needs a Stan. Peace. Go to stanbanks.com if you want to work with me. Oh yeah, 20 minutes and it recorded.